Hello, and welcome to the SAF Audiovisual Cast, where we, SAF, connect and share information from top university officials, faculty, and administration directly with SAF students and parents. Thanks for joining us. First, I'm your host, William, with SAF and IES in Chicago. We're fortunate to have two guests here today. The president first, Jim Brosam, and the academic director, Chris DaSilva, of the International Test of English Proficiency, or iTEP as it's known. Chris and Jim, thanks for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting us.
So first, maybe I will go over to you, Jim. You and I are both Midwesterners. Could you introduce yourself a little bit and maybe tell us about your job?
Sure, be happy to. First of all, thank you, William, and thank you, SAF, for having us on your podcast today. It's a delight. We are in sunny Los Angeles, California, and we want to say hello. You're right, Chicago and Illinois is my home state, so I want to say hello to all my friends and family in Chicago, and then also to, I understand this goes to China, to all of our friends all over China. I am the president of iTEP, the International Test of English Proficiency, and I am from Illinois. Illinois is right in the middle of the United States. Some people know it as the land of Abraham Lincoln. While William is in the wonderful city of Chicago, I was born 3 hours south in a very small, very farming community, similar to, I would say, perhaps Anhui province in China, lots of farmland. But I had a very good childhood. I am from a family of teachers. My mother is a university professor. My sister is a university professor. And so not by coincidence, I grew up and ended up working in higher education and in international education in particular. I started out working as a study abroad person. I would take American students all around the world on study abroad trips, Paris, London. I've done many, many trips to Beijing through the Forbidden City and the Summer Palace with groups of American students. Some way along the lines at the university, I also began recruiting international students. And so for many, many years, I traveled around the world to different countries and would meet with international students and their parents and convince them to come to the United States, to our good universities here in Illinois, Arkansas, California, and elsewhere. And so I have always been in education is a very important part of my life. And a few years ago, I became involved with the International Test of English Proficiency. If you're an international student and you want to come to the United States, you have to have an English proficiency test. And I became involved in selling the International Test of English Proficiency to schools in the Midwest. And before you know it, they had me come to California, and I'm currently the president of iTEP. And so it's been a journey from the Midwest through all around the world to California.
Thanks for that, Jim. Very interesting career path that I believe many would be envious of. Chances to go all over the world while still sharing education. Quite cool.
Thank you.
Next, let's go over to you, Chris, the academic director, multilingual, and long distinguished career in education. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role with iTEP?
Yes, of course. So hi guys, thank you for inviting me. So I've been in the ESL field for about 22 years. I'm a languages lover. So I had a chance to learn different languages, but started learning English as a second language when I was only 6 years old. So as I grew up, I became in love with the language and I wanted to become a teacher. So I was a teacher for many years. I taught in Brazil, I taught in Canada, in Mexico. I also taught Spanish and Portuguese for foreigners as well, in many different nationalities for many years. Then eventually I became an IEP director and worked also for other companies like ELS for many, many years, managing wonderful staff members, students from all over the world, and just sharing amazing experiences and helping students getting into universities and colleges across the United States. So in the past almost 2 years, I've started working for iTEP as Director of Academics and Testing, and I've been having a blast learning a lot about the testing world and just even more passionate to know that there's a backstage over there where you're no longer being the actor and engaging with students and staff, but also being just behind the scene, working in the creation of the tests with wonderful professionals as well. So yeah, I also have a bachelor's degree in business administration, and I have my master's degree in TESOL. So that has enabled me, together with speaking 3 languages fluently as well, to communicate and help other folks all around the world. So yes, I enjoy my job at iTEP. I have a wonderful boss. I have wonderful people working with me among graders and test developers and several other folks that help us on a daily basis. So yeah, it's just a lot of fun, a lot of hard work, and just a great job, a great experience.
Also, wonderful introduction. Thank you for that. And quite compelling, a wonderful career that you are in the midst of, multiple locations, multiple countries, and doing some very interesting things with iTEP right now. On that topic, Chris, can you tell us a little bit more about the test?
Yes. So iTEP has several different tests. Our flagship is the iTEP Academic. So the test is composed of 5 skills, or writing and speaking are graded by ESL human graders. We deliver results in 24 hours, which is the fastest in the market. The test is relatively short, only 92 minutes, but a very comprehensive test. The rest of our system grades everything else very quickly as well. So it's relatively a very efficient, positive experience for the test taker and for the institutions who are expecting to have those grades get to them soon. We also have other folks working for us, as I told you guys before, like test developers and graders that work together with us on a daily basis, communicate all the time, and work very hard to make sure that we are able to deliver the tests to the public in the most efficient way. We have an item bank with several items, many different academic items for academic tests, and we ensure that all of our test takers are taking a different test all the time that they take it. Also, even if you had 10 people taking the test at the same time, they would all be seeing different items throughout the test. So we're basically working very hard on a daily basis to produce more and more items as well, just to make our item bank as large as it is, but even larger, to make sure that we offer the best service that we can do to all of our clients.
Thanks for that, Chris. Now, you mentioned a lot of interesting features. I'd be interested to hear what makes this test different than other English proficiency tests.
I think what makes it different is that it's very comprehensive, but short at the same time. It's very easy to be accessed. So our test is on demand. A student can take anywhere, anytime in the world, on Saturday, on Sunday, on holidays. We're constantly working. So we guarantee our results to be delivered the next day, which is very attractive for all of our test takers and also for institutions. Also I think it's one of the best things about our test is that we do not rely on artificial intelligence to grade our speaking and writing parts. We still rely on human professionals, who are very professional, have been with our company for many years. Like some of our graders have been with us for at least 8, 9, 10 years and grade every single day. So they're always ready, expecting for the tests to come in and grade them right away and offer the client with the best experience possible. So I'd say those features are, definitely features that make our tests stand out when compared to other tests in the market.
Thanks for that. I was interested in hearing a little bit more about the organization and the history. The iTEP is well known within North America, but I think especially for some of our listeners, maybe it's less known. Can you tell us, Jim, how did the tests and the organization begin?
Sure. I like to describe iTEP as a teenager. We are 18 years old, so we're not a brand new company. We've been around for a good amount of time, but we're not so old that we're not young and growing and flexible. So I always like to say we are a teenager. We are growing rapidly. iTEP was founded by two individuals. One is Perry Akins, who was the chair of ELS, which is a large world ESL language program all around the world. He was president of ESL for many years, and he retired. He retired for about 2 weeks and decided he wanted to come up with a new test. He felt he could do a test based upon what he saw. His partner is very interesting. His partner, Sharif Osiran, was actually an international student who came to the US. So he had the perspective of taking a test to try to get into the United States. And so what were they trying to improve? Perry and Sharif said, look, we don't like to have to schedule a test. We want a test where a student can take it immediately or within 24 hours. This idea of having to schedule it for 3 weeks is not good. And also, as Chris mentioned, we don't want to have to take the test and then wait 2 weeks or 3 weeks or even 1 week to get the results. We want a test where we get our score reports and we can send them to the university within 24 hours. And so the two gentlemen came together and came up with a test called the iTEP Academic Plus. The first test was really geared towards university admissions. It went pretty well, and they said, this is a great test, but we need a test for middle school and high school level. So we designed what's called the iTEP Slate test. Again, same concept. If you want to come to a high school in Canada or USA and you need an English proficiency test, the Slate Plus you can take on demand. You don't have to schedule a date in the month, and you get the results within 24 hours. And so the founding of the company was really on those two academic tests. But what's interesting is in the past probably 5 to 10 years, we've also expanded into other tests. We have great, what we call professional tests. So if you're wanting to come to the United States and as an intern on the J visa, we have an intern test. We have an au pair test. We have an aviation test. We have a hospitality test that a lot of international students take because they need certification in hospitality. So we've really grown from that one test 18 years ago to a whole suite of professional exams. But our competitive advantage, I think, if you call it that, would be on demand. You can take our test any time of the day or week. And then those results, you don't have to wait for those results. We get you those results within 24 hours. And so the company is located in Los Angeles. And as I've said, we have test centers all around the world. We have, we call distributors who work in our different countries, our partner countries. And the iTEP test, while some people may not have heard of it, they will, because we're growing in 60 plus countries very rapidly. As people, more and more people need convenience of testing, and they want that quick turnaround for scores because they want to get into a university. So we are growing like a teenager.
Thanks for that, Jim. Now, I think some of our listeners, I mentioned before, maybe they have heard of the test, or maybe they haven't. But you guys are active and have a lot going on in China. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. I think one of the interesting things about China is it's so big compared to the countries of the rest of the world. And so we have over 100 test centers in China where you can schedule the tests. And again, when I say schedule, I don't mean 1 or 2 dates per month, but you can call on a Tuesday and take it on a Thursday if you wish. So we have over 100 centers all throughout China, Beijing, Shanghai, Qingdao, Chengdu, all major cities. But we also now have an online option. Here recently, we have moved our admissions tests for some people who can't get to a test center but need to take the test to get into an American university. And so it really doesn't matter anymore where you live in China. If you can't get to a test center, you can simply get online at itepexam.com and schedule your test online. And the same things are true. You purchase your test ID and take the test at your convenience, and within 24 hours, the results come to you and to the American university or high school that you want. So we are growing in China with both with our test centers, but now, like I said, there's no boundaries in today's testing. You can take the test any city in China, any location in China. If you have internet, you have access to the iTEP exam.
That seems quite appealing, particularly at this moment. So lately, many more students and faculty have been asking about the iTEP. Chris, why is that? Can you tell us more?
Yes, well, I think that many students and test takers around the world come to us because they're looking for efficiency, great quality, and good pricing when it comes to testing. So obviously, we work very hard to be able to offer those great benefits to our clients. And as Jim has already mentioned, and I mentioned before, our tests are graded very quickly. It's a short test compared to others in the market. If you think about a test that takes only 90 minutes to be done, and you're going to get your grades on the next day, and you're going to have professionals grading certain sections of the test. Plus, you can take at any time, anywhere, on your own schedule, in your own comfort, in your own house. I think those are great qualities that iTEP offers. And it's not because I work for iTEP and I think our test is amazing, but if I were a student and I had those features be offered to me, I would definitely go for it. I think that's why many students are coming to us lately.
Fair enough. Now, and the other angle on this is that students just need to prove a level of efficiency. It's kind of a means to an end at a certain point. Students want to get accepted into the university they're going to, and they need to prove the studies or the accomplishment of their English already. One way or another, the objective of studying at their choice university, the test might not be as consequential. Jim, how would you respond to these type of students?
Sure. And first, let me add on just a little bit to Chris's answer, because the other side of that is not only do students like us, but we are becoming rapidly well known with the universities and private high schools because they like the same function. They like the fact that some of their students who applied took the test on Tuesday. By Wednesday morning, they have the scores and they can quickly get the visa paperwork done. So I think not only do students like the quick service, but the universities do as well. In terms of your question, William, it's a great question. Why iTEP over the other ones? If you're a student in Shanghai, let's say, and you want to go to New York University, NYU, they take 3 or 4 different tests. So why would you pick iTEP to go to NYU over one of the other tests? Couple of reasons. Number one, as Chris said, if you want to go to NYU and you want to take the iTEP, you can get online and order the test ID and take it right there in your home. You don't have to go to a test center and travel at all. You can take it right there. You can, you don't have to schedule, not only travel, you don't have to schedule for the 15th of the month. If you buy it at 3:00 p.m., you can take the test at 4:00 if you're ready. So in terms of students, it's very quick and convenient. That student at Shanghai is going to make mom and dad proud, because the other thing we haven't talked about is we are very competitive in pricing. And when you look at our pricing compared to other tests, we are about half to most of the major tests. And so mother and dad are going to be proud of you because you found a test that's a good test that's accepted by NYU, but it's also half the cost. And so that's an issue as well that's a positive in your favor. And as we keep saying, once that student takes the test in Shanghai to go to NYU, they don't want to have to wait a week or 2 weeks or even a couple of days. They will know their results within 24 hours, so they can quickly find out if their admissions is going to happen. It is a challenging and complex process to become an international student sometimes and come to the United States in terms of the visa process. And so what we're working to do at iTEP is to make the English language proficiency part as smooth and as quick as possible, because we want students from China to come to the United States. I have worked with hundreds and hundreds of students when I worked at the university from China, all great people. I still have many, many friends of students who came to our schools and then returned back to China. And so iTEP is there to make the testing process as smooth and as easy and as quick as possible.
Well, thanks for that, Jim. Let's stay on student-focused information for a moment longer. How does maybe this one's for Chris, how does a student prepare for the iTEP exam?
Okay, so basically exactly. iTEP does not only make tests. We've recently noticed that there was a need for students, and there was a certain demand as well, with students asking us, hey, you guys create the tests, is great, but when it comes for us to prepare for tests, how do we do it? And it's a little bit challenging for them as well, because we don't offer lots of material. We just recently started, like in the past 2 years, we started developing certain materials and self-study prep guides, prep books that the students can use. So those books can be available, directly from the office, or they are available also on Amazon. So if a student wants to go online and just purchase the book and study, the books are very comprehensive in a sense that the student will pretty much find all the sections of the test there. So we have obviously tips on how to prep for the tests. We have also quizzes that the students can take, not only on the book, but also online. So we try to provide as much information and tips so that students can prepare. But obviously, we are not like other companies in the market who have like several different books and courses that help them prep for tests. But we're actually thinking about doing that down the road. We'll think about developing those. But for now, if a student is interested in studying for a test, they can definitely contact us or purchase our books from Amazon. And these books, they can use by themselves to study, or they can also be used by teachers in case a teacher is interested in teaching an iTEP class to help students pass the test. That's also doable.
Well, thanks for that, Chris. Now, one of the things we like to do during these recorded sessions is talk a little bit about food. And when I say we like to do, I certainly like to do. We are obviously talking to our students in China. And Jim, we mentioned prior to the recording that you've spent lots of time. You've done many business trips to China. So maybe I'd like to start with you. Can you tell us about your favorite either dish or cuisine from China?
Sure. So let me say, first of all, growing up in the Midwest, it's very much a meat and potatoes or beef and corn type of diet. And so when I went to China, there was a couple of things that caught my attention very quickly. I have to admit, my very favorite dish is when I go to Beijing, the Peking duck. I love the duck, especially that sauce. I tell people, if I could find that sauce in the United States, I would buy gallons of it and put it over any food, because I think that sauce that they use with the Peking duck is very good. I really enjoy it, and probably eat too much of it. Also the seafood. I have good friends in Qingdao, and whenever we go to Qingdao, they take us down to the beach, and we have some wonderful, wonderful seafood that I didn't really have growing up. That was a nice change for me, the shrimp and the fish. The octopus was interesting. The first time they served me octopus, I had never had that, so that was something that I had to acquire a taste for. And when you go to the south part of China, certainly in Chengdu, it's a little bit spicier, but I enjoy a little bit of spicy, although sometimes my stomach says, whoa, be careful, not too much. But I think if I had to pick one dish, I would go back to the Peking duck. I really, really enjoy the duck.
Fair enough. Now, what I'd like to do, we also have a lot of students who go and visit and study in LA specifically. And now, Chris, being based in LA, I'd love to hear from you. If you have a visiting friend or student, for example, what would you recommend them to eat in LA?
William, LA has so many types of restaurants, and we are so multicultural here as well. So definitely, I would advise them to have a good American breakfast. If they hadn't tried ever in their life, they should definitely try having some good pancakes in the morning, some eggs. Of course, if they don't want to do that and they say, okay, I want to try Israeli food, I want to try Brazilian food, we have them everywhere in our city. So that's actually one of the greatest things about living in LA. It's a melting pot city. So you can find all sorts of food anywhere you go. And that gives you a little bit more of an adventurous taste to try different things that you have never tried. So I love the American breakfast in the morning, and the brunch as well is amazing. But if anyone wants to try something different, I'm sure they'll find it. So yeah.
Well, cool. Guys, thank you both for being here today. I would just double check, is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
Well, I was going to say that if you come to Los Angeles, come bring your mother and father and come to the iTEP office. We'll be happy to take you out for breakfast or lunch. We like to have guests from around the world. I think in closing, I'd just like to say thank you again, William, to SAF. Your organization does great thing. And the thing we like about SAF is you all work with quality students in China and around the world. We know if we get an SAF student, that student is a very intelligent, very well-performing academic student. So thank you very much for letting us participate.
Thank you, Jim. Well, guys, that's all for today. And thanks again.
Thank you. 谢谢，谢谢。
Thank you.